Hi there, warm welcome. You're watching Decoding Now and I'm Meghna Deka. Well, India seems to be caught in a dangerous climate crunch. From blistering heat waves in the north to the flooding rains in the south. The weather has been turning extreme and even deadly in some cases. In the north and west, temperatures are rising, melting past 50 degrees Celsius. 67 people have died in one single day. And even bats are literally falling off the part skies. But this is no longer just a weather red alert. This is a warning siren for India's growth story as well. Scientists are linking the crisis to one of the strongest El Niño patterns in the last 150 years. In fact, tonight we will decode what's the El Niño effect and what will it trigger? Droughts, crop failures, food inflation? Well, is India's growth story beginning to feel the heat? How do we prepare for the age of extreme climate? That's coming your way in Decoding Now tonight. So let's start. First, we are going to get you India's heat map. The Met Department has issued a red color warning for heat wave to severe heat wave conditions for UP, MP, Vidarbha. As you can see, the red areas there, those are the areas which have a red alert coming in. UP, Madhya Pradesh, there's Vidarbha, as well as Punjab, Haryana. That is where they need to be extremely cautious. In Chandigarh and Delhi, during the next 5 days as well, there is expected to be high intensity of heat. It in fact says that it is there in orange. Orange means that you need to beware. Where you say green, that means there is no warning for those areas and those states. And when it means yellow, that means you need to beware. When you have orange, that essentially means that these areas which are orange, that you need to be prepared. But these areas which are in red, as you can see, UP, Vidarbha, as well as parts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, these are the areas where you must take action, where the governments must take action immediately. So essentially, these are the areas which you need to watch out for. And if you see here in the south, there are several areas which are expected to have showers all through the day today, especially like states like Kerala. And these are the areas which are less impacted by the heat wave, except for certain parts of Assam as well as West Bengal, where there is a beware warning which has come out. So the brutal heat wave, as I was telling you, sweeping across India is no longer just about soaring temperatures. It is turning deadly. There are reports which suggest that dozens have already lost their lives, with Telangana recording 51 deaths. Andhra Pradesh has seen 16 deaths due to heat strokes. And in Maharashtra, reportedly, there are 8 suspected heat stroke fatalities as well. But the question is, how do you prepare yourself? We'll tell you in just a bit later on in the show. But for the timing, let's show you how ordinary Indians are battling this relentless heat. The visuals are speaking louder than words. You can see on your screens as Uttar Pradesh battles a punishing heat wave. One man in Bundelkhand area was found a rather creative way to beat the heat, the scorching temperatures. He's turned his motorcycle into a moving patch of shade. You can see how he's made a makeshift canopy of bamboo and leafy branches. Now he's gone viral for having this leafy canopy for himself. This is the Jugaad way, many have said, that has caught the internet's attention. Let's show you another visual which is coming in. This one is coming in from Chhattisgarh's Bilaspur, where you can see railway authorities have come up with a rather refreshing solution, if we can call it, spraying water from the station rooftop to help cool down the passengers who are waiting in the scorching heat. So a very innovative idea, welcomed by many there. Let's move on. Third video that we are going to show for you, you'll see a bat that appears to have collapsed from heat exhaustion. That's right. Bats are literally falling off the scorching skies. A man even tries to offer relief, put some water on the bat, tries to resuscitate him, this nocturnal animal, with some water. Finally, we believe, reports say that the bat managed to fly off. Well, that's a spot of good news. But another visual coming in, a stark reminder of just how punishing this heat wave has become. During Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu's media interaction in Vijayawada, less than a month back, you can see there an NSG commando trained for survival, but nonetheless heat wave seems to have gotten him. The NSG commando reportedly fainted due to extreme heat and scorching sun. This prompted an immediate response from the security personnel. They rushed to assist the officer and then they whisked him away. But as you can see, nothing can possibly prepare you for the scorching sun in this manner. In fact, in the middle of this relentless heat wave, there are some stories which restore your faith in humanity as well. Look at these heartful visuals which are coming in from Faridabad Junction. A group of volunteers stepped up to offer the much needed relief. You can see several of the workers, laborers who are traveling in this train. You have a bunch of volunteers who started distributing chilled water to the laborers, to the underprivileged travelers, and those who need passing through these packed train. This is when you feel that humanity finally has stepped up to fight the scorching heat. Now, as temperatures in parts of Uttar Pradesh soar to a blistering 48 degrees Celsius, there are authorities in Banda who are putting out all stops to help residents cope. From water booths that you can see on your screens and cooling centers to fogging operations aimed at bringing some much needed respite, giving ideas as to how civic authorities themselves need to step it up. So this brutal heat wave, viewers, may only be the beginning. That's the bad news coming in, because India battles scorching temperatures. The world is also now watching a climate phenomenon which has had the power to intensify weather extremes across the entire globe. Remember, El Niño effect. El Niño is not something which is only restricted to India. It is a pan-world effect. It is a global impact which happened, a weather phenomenon. What really is El Niño? Let's explain that. El Niño is a Pacific Ocean warming near equator which happens. What happens in it is that it disrupts global wind as well as weather patterns, having an impact across the entire globe. The impact, well, this is what's very worrying. It leads to extreme heat, it leads to extreme rains in some places and extreme droughts in some places. So as I was telling you, a climate of extremes. The timeline, how long does it last? It happens every 2 to 7 years and it lasts for months. But the big question is, how long will this El Niño effect actually last in India? This, viewers, is far from uncharted territory. This is not the first time El Niño has unleashed chaos across the entire planet, leaving behind a trail of extreme heat, devastating droughts, and destructive floods. Let's tell you. In 2015-2016, you had the El Niño causing severe drought in Australia and southeast of Asia. These are the areas where it had very severely impacted, but not just that, it also weakened. In India, it weakened monsoons and it hurt the crops. So this was the entire impact area of the El Niño effect then. In 2009-2010, you had another strike of the El Niño. This one hurt rice and wheat crops in India, across India as well as Southeast Asia. Again, these are the areas which were worst impacted in 2009. But going back further, 1997-98, that is when you had what was called the Super El Niño impact. This was the strongest ever El Niño phenomenon which was witnessed. The period was the highest in the last 30 years. This impact had caused droughts in Asia, floods in the Americas. Question is it going to get worse than what we had seen even the year of 1997-1998? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Now, this could potentially mark the most powerful El Niño event that the world has ever seen. This year could be it. There are very disturbing forecasts coming in saying that the El Niño phenomenon may be the strongest ever in the last 150 years. When was the last time that you had seen it? It all happened in 1877. That was the worst ever, the strongest ever El Niño which had happened in 150 years, which may happen now. At that time, 50 million people had perished. The worrisome point is, will this year be just as bad as the year 1877? Once El Niño phenomenon sets in, the consequences can be far-reaching and very costly. In fact, take a look at the potential price that the world may have to pay for El Niño. What are the casualties? What is on the hit list of El Niño? Let's explain. Agriculture will be the first casualty. 10%, as per reports which have been coming in, as per the studies which have been carried out in the past, every time there has been an El Niño impact, it has hurt about 10% of the Kharif output has seen a dip during the El Niño years itself. This as per one of the reports. Casualty 2 of El Niño is expected to be food inflation. Why? Because a lower crop output would result in shortage of crops and shortage of food, which would result in inflation, food inflation to be precise. Let's also tell you the third casualty is going to be the rural economy directly. Why? Because you have lesser farm income will drop, which will lead to rural spending, which is also going to fall, impacting the entire rural economy. The fourth casualty is going to be GDP growth itself. If El Niño strikes at the rate that it may just, because a lower rural demand would mean that it will impact manufacturing, it will impact fertilizers, for example, the tractor industry, several of these areas, especially manufacturing areas, which are related to agro field are likely to be impacted by this. The sixth casualty is going to be power and energy, of course, because if there is a heat wave, there's going to be a rise in demand for air conditioning, demand and rise of irrigation. Unfortunately, there's going to be a dip in the water levels, so which is why this is going to be a double whammy. The sixth casualty of that is going to be stock markets, businesses. Of course, all of them is going to be hurt because the maximum amount of hit is going to be the agro sector, the sector of fertilizers, FMCG firms. These are the ones which are likely to be impacted the most due to El Niño. So these are the casualties of El Niño. Unfortunately, nothing looks very good. Everything seems to be going up in blazes. Now in India, which is battling this punishing temperatures already, survival has become of extreme heat is becoming as much about smart adaptation as it is about endurance. From the way that we build our homes to how we design our cities, these are practical ways to stay safe in rising temperatures. You no longer can say stay out of the heat and have more cucumber. That's not going to cut it. What we need is long-term solutions for this. Cooler roofs, for example, is very important in the way forward. Reflective roofs which help cut indoor heat instead of the concrete jungles that we are looking at. Green cover, yes, we will have to invest in it because at the end of it, trees and shade can lower temperatures, and this is going to be a long-term move. Smarter homes are going to be important as well. What are smarter homes? No, we are not talking about the concrete jungles. It has to be mud and clay, because remember, concrete absorbs the heat and gives out more heat. When you live in a concrete jungle, that area itself is going to be much hotter. You can opt for more trees, you can opt for more mud and clay use in these houses, which is going to keep the temperatures much cooler than concrete would. Water bodies, lakes, ponds, of course, they are the ones which are going to help cool the nearby areas, but then only if we stop illegal construction on this. Also, community spaces, build them, because at the end of it, public shelters are going to offer relief in extreme heats. This is the only thing which is going to come to your rescue. Green spaces, alternate livings, and getting out of the concrete jungles. This is just a little step towards what we need to be doing right now. Let's go across to our panelists. Who's joining us today on the show? Well, we have Anand Sharma, former Additional Director General of the Indian Meteorological Department, here on the show. Dr. Ishwar Gilada is also joining us, public health expert and Secretary General of People's Health Organization of India. So let me go across to Anand Sharma ji first, because it's very disturbing when you see reports that this may be the biggest, the worst ever El Niño impact that we are bracing ourselves for in the last 150 years. Is that likely to be a reality? What should we prepare for?
See, I'm not worried much, in the sense it's not just the El Niño which affects us, and moreover, it is the planning which is more important. Okay? And our climate variability is so much, we have seen the worst scenarios, and we have tackled those, and we will tackle this one as well. And already India Meteorological Department is issuing from time to time red alerts and warnings. Only thing is that people should start factoring weather information and planning into their day-to-day activities. That's the most important part. Second thing, you must have seen, even where you have the deaths, normally the temperatures are very high in Rajasthan and Gujarat, but no one dies there. Why? Because people's diets are very good. They have heat action plans. they have all the, best kind of management. It's only where the management is poor, people are poor, and naturally some workers who are out in the middle of the daytime when they should be inside, but then their labor, they have to work out, they get affected. And people who are dying mainly are old, young, children, and the ones who have some kind of disease or comorbidity. They are the ones they get affected, and especially ones who are on psychiatric drugs or alcohol, where the body thermoregulatory mechanism doesn't work. They are the ones who, if they are exposed to it, they die. But what I'm trying to say is, over the years, I think what the governments have done, they should have worked for drought proofing, weather proofing.
Yes.
Even the building design. You see all Delhi, Gurgaon, all concrete and glass buildings. Glass buildings, your AC bills goes up by 30%. So who is the designer? Glass buildings are designed for temperate countries, not for the tropical countries. But we are not bothered. So this is a major issue.
Absolutely.
We have converted our cities into concrete jungles.
You're absolutely right. What we need is a long-term solution. Very well made that point, that what we need for is not short-term solutions to get out of the heat, but long-term solutions of what we need to battle.
Even for crops, now when Met Department has already said the monsoon is going to be below normal.
Right.
So you should do your agriculture as per your agroclimate.
Yes.
So your cropping pattern should be different. If you are expecting less rain, so your season, or maybe your season will be less, so you go for drought-resistant crops. Do water harvesting.
I'm going to come back to you because Anand, you're making a very, very important point about also intervention of the government. If we know Kharif crops are likely to be impacted, what should be done and done now?
Absolutely.
But before that, let me go across to Dr. Gilada also because we are talking about the urban living. Let's face it, all of us are living in urban jungles. How do we keep ourselves safe? There have been 67 deaths in one day alone. What needs to be done? What needs to be done now?
Thank you very much, Meghna, for having me on the show. Basically, a country like India, which is now no more developing, it is already semi-developed. We should not talk only about deaths. We should also talk about quality of life. And quality of life of everybody is affected, whether they are on the street, they are working class, or people who are sitting in air-conditioned chambers. Secondly, what is to be done is basically a harp strategy, which is H means hydrate.
Okay.
Keep as hydrated possible, inside and outside. Sprinkle water on your body if you are outside the heat. Avoid extreme heat. Wherever there is extreme heat, avoid going out. So you can change your pattern of working. Government should do staggered duties. Thirdly is recognizing the problem, recognizing signs of dehydration or stroke or anything. And lastly, protect those which are vulnerable. So if we harp on this harp sign, I think we can protect people. So basically, when we count the deaths related to heat wave, it is not only people who are dying because of direct heat. People are dying of stroke. People are dying of heart attacks. People are dying of something else like a renal failure. So cause of death will be written on the death certificate. Patient died of renal failure. But that renal failure may be because of heat stroke. So I think we should recognize those signs, and secondary or tertiary cause of death should be updated if you really want those numbers. I'm not for numbers. I'm here for people which are out there on the working. If I ask them, please.
So, Dr. Gilada, do you fear that the number of people who have died due to the scorching heat could be higher than what's being reported? It says 67 died of heat stroke, but that's it.
That will be difficult to assess at a micro level.
Okay.
But at
Fair
micro level, if we have a month-on-month tally of how many people are getting heart attacks or stroke or any kind of heat-related issues, which may be directly or indirectly, and renal failure. The major cause of renal failure can be heat stroke. So I think we need to have that kind of numbers. But currently, sitting in air-conditioned chamber, I can say that please don't go out. How will people survive if they don't go out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to go out and work. But how do we keep ourselves safe? And what we need is not knee-jerk measures, but long-term, impactful measures which need to be taken. Anand Sharma, you touched upon what the governments can do. What should the governments be doing, both at state level as well as center?
This question is for me?
Yes, Anand Sharma.
Yeah, actually, see, for the central government level, first thing is that the major city, they should have a building design plan.
Right.
What kind of, we should have green buildings. Why should we go for concrete and glass when there are alternate technologies available? You are unnecessarily increasing. Already we have energy, we are not, sufficient. There is an issue. And on top of that, you are having ACs, installing ACs, glass building ACs and increasing your electricity bills. One. Secondly, as you also mentioned, we should have either green roof or white roofs. It reflects the radiation, it cools the building. You should have more vegetation. You should have sponge cities where you have not just, concrete everywhere at the pavements, etc. You should have sponge cities. That means in between you should have grass so that it evaporates water and cools it. Secondly, water also percolates down so that your groundwater is recharged. So you have to, focus more on nature-based solution. Then whatever your water bodies, see, if you see example of...
Very good advice. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, gentlemen, but very good advice that you have given. It needs to be done at the level of we the people, of course. Keep yourself hydrated, stay out of the sun, but it's not always going to be enough. What we need to do is have a long-term strategy to have nature-based solutions for this. Thank you so much, Anand Sharma, as well as Dr. Gilada, for joining us, explaining that to our viewers, what the El Nino effect is, what the impact on our economy may just be.